Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Made for More podcast. Today, I am thrilled to welcome a wonderful, exceptional guest to the show, Kellie Tomney. Welcome. It is wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much, Ally. Really great to be speaking with you and all of your listeners. Can't
Oh,
wait.
amazing. I'm sure they are in for a treat today, and I can't wait to dive into today's episode. Before we get too far into the grit and the gumption of it all, Kellie, tell us a little bit about where did you come from and where are you going?
Okay. Look, I grew up in rural South Australia with a dream to make a positive impact. I didn't know what that meant, of course, but that's really been the thread throughout my whole life and career. And I've really started out with brand and people and transformation. And I got thrown into my first job coaching leaders when, of course, I had absolutely no experience as a grad, as a leader myself.
Yep.
So I learnt the very hard way, and it was very much those learnings of how do I coach at that super early stage? What have I got to teach and share at that point? So, look, it's been a long-term thread, the coaching leaders and being interested in leading people and organisations. It's taken me through working with really amazing organisations and leaders. I'm really thankful to have learnt so much. My first job was with Lion Nathan, and they had a massive cultural transformation, and they did that through growing their leaders. And so I learnt, very early on from those leaders, which was amazing. And then went to Qantas, a big transformation, so big organisation, and then really chose my next organisation, St. George, and really through what leaders I wanted to work with, which
Ah,
was, so it was interesting, this sort of theme. And my leader in Qantas, which I spoke to them and just said, where would you go and who's a fantastic leader? And they said, well, look, Gail Kelly and the stuff that she's doing at St. George. And so I reached out to them, and they created a role, and it really was my dream role and dream team. We were just rocking. It was, those
yeah.
roles we've
Yeah.
just got. It was sensational. So we got fantastic results through that with the team, and it was just fantastic. But of course, a merger or something comes along, doesn't it?
Next.
And just sweeps and just makes a total upheaval of all of your plans. And so I'd been concentrating on future proofing the team and the organization and stuff. I hadn't concentrated on future proofing myself.
Oh, fiddlesticks.
Yeah, so that's a really tough lesson. And so I really learnt that one the hard way. And the new roles that were being offered, whilst they were fantastic, they really weren't the impact that I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
bring. And I know that some of the listeners might be potentially resonating with this at this time, and that's why I share it. Is that these changes come either personally, professionally. Sometimes they can be an absolute sideswipe,
Mm.
or sometimes you can see them coming for all.
Yeah. Yes, depending on
So
how much you're looking, right? Yeah.
exactly. So I didn't see this one coming, but so then it really put me on a path to future proofing myself. I had to. I was without a job, without a house, without a visa, without a lot of different things. So putting me from sort of what I felt was hero in leadership and the team and just
Mm.
loving life through to feeling absolute rock bottom,
Yeah.
zero, sub zero. What was my identity?
Yeah.
Who was I now? I loved my work. I now didn't even know what work I could do in this new country. This was in the US.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, that sent me on to future proofing in my own business for 15 years. And I haven't really looked back. I've just loved working with organizations, future proofing them and the leaders,
Yeah.
and working, to really get them future fit. So these turning points in life, but that's probably the thread They've been common
Yep, throughout.
threads as you look through it, but and common passions, but have had to be flexible throughout it. Yeah.
I just wanted, before we get too far into the future fit, I just wanted to go back on something that you said and highlight it for our listeners, because you mentioned that when you were sort of in that transition stage between Qantas and St. George, that you went and asked, who's a good leader that I can work for and work with, and who would you recommend who's, amazing. And I think we forget the impact that the leadership reputation really does have. And there is, of course, that the data on the fact that people don't leave organizations, they leave leaders. And I think high performers actually seek out high performing leaders. So when we're talking about future fit, which is your area of expertise and what we'll get to in a moment, of going, am I future fit for myself and future proofing myself, as well as what is the reputation that that's going to have for those people that I might want to join my team, particularly when we're always looking for talent, always looking for some good people. Going, am I walking the talk and talking the walk and doing all those things? So when it came to future proofing yourself, I was just doing some maths backwards. This would have been post GFC in the US, so probably there was still a bit of a fallout from that. I imagine that future proofing or that kind of future skills was a relatively new idea.
Very
Then
much.
workplaces and capability had been fairly stable. So
Yes.
tell me, what got you on to recognizing that was there a gap in the skills, or was you going, okay, over the next 10 years, here's really what I think is going to happen? How did you fall into future proofing and future fit?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Great question. Look, it was a very personal thing at first because it was like, okay, in the recession, and I was right in the middle of the recession,
Yeah.
Washington, DC, consultants restructuring, governments shut down, maybe double incomes, both redundant. I mean, it was absolute the epicenter of the world in terms of the financial crisis impact. And I didn't even have a visa, didn't have, a place to live. Like this was just serious stuff. So,
Dire.
yeah. So the future proofing level for me, it was really that feeling abandoned, which a lot can relate to now with restructuring and that sort of stuff. You might have put your heart and soul into your work and your team, and you just absolutely love it. And then all of a sudden, that's changed overnight. So really, it was very much a personal thing of me, how to get from feeling abandoned or frustrated and those feelings to feeling, well, how could I be future proof? So I've always had this future of work
Mm.
aspect. I've always got a long term, what's next view.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
So even though that was personal and I was very much just how do I survive and make some money, I was thinking, well, what's the way of the world here?
Mm.
It's changing. And so at that point, what I did is actually put out to my network and I started recruiting. I'd head up recruitment and branding for the major banks and stuff like this. And then I never actually physically recruited myself.
Right.
But it was going, okay, I have a laptop, and my laptop at that point was bigger than my table that I had. It was an absolute brick. But and Skype in those times, and recruited and doing talent and branding stuff around the world for Africa, South America. I
Wow.
just had to be flexible. And I think so now I look at the future fit stuff, which we can talk a bit more about it, but I just probably intuitively using those principles back then,
Yeah.
even though it came from a very personal, just how do I survive and make money in this environment and still be true to myself and do the work that I love.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then in terms of what you were seeing back then, so 15-ish years ago of Future Fit versus what is happening now, how much has that changed and what have been the biggest changes?
What a good question. Right. So I believe these changes, these trends I have been talking about for a long time.
Mhm.
The old world leadership
Yes.
has, I'm sure you relate, that has been there for a long time and just has not been working for
Mm.
years. I
Yeah.
would probably say that whole 15 years, let's just take that marker.
Yeah.
It hasn't been working in my view, and we've got the stats to prove that. So that's a really long term, I believe, that trend of that old world leadership isn't working for a long term. The other one that I have been talking about for that entire probably time has been the career structures are outdated.
Ooh,
So outdated. That pyramid has not been working. And now, why do I know that? Because I coach people and work with leaders and their teams at the top,
mm-hmm.
and they are not sustained, fulfilled, energized,
Mm, mm-hmm.
impactful and scalable and sustainable as they can possibly be.
Yeah.
So therefore, how can, of course, the business, be that?
Yeah.
So those are two things that I've sort of probably seen and been talking about for a long time that really haven't been working and have needed to change. The third one is the flexibility of work. And I've been talking because I needed to do that just from a survival perspective
Mm-hmm.
at that point. If I was in a different market, if I'd stayed in Australia, I probably would have picked up the phone and I just said, swallowed my pride and said, I'll take those jobs that you know, that you had offered me.
Yeah.
However, I had committed to, I didn't have a plan B. I'd said no. So I had to create something else. And I think, so I had to be flexible and find those other plan B, C, and D.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think what I saw out of that is the need for more flexible work, more
Yeah.
portfolio careers,
Yeah.
more fractional work, more interim, more purpose work.
Mm-hmm.
There will be this move from the job and our status and our identity and one job fixed to an organization to multiple, I believe. I believe you'll maybe have one or two key jobs, even at that senior exec level, that senior leadership level.
Yeah.
But actually, that really, I believe, will help us be even more fulfilled, more energized, more impactful in our work than we have been tied to
Yeah.
one organization, one role. Now, I have put that in my book, and that was sort of, years ago now, but it's still, that has been very slow, I'd say, in Australia.
Yes. Yes. Can you expand
Okay.
on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I've got contacts and clients, say the UK, right, where
Yep.
fractional, I call it fractional CEO work, fractional C-suite roles are the pretty much the norm. So you might have, say, a 2 or 3 day week CMO, chief marketing officer, or chief operating officer for 2 or 3 days, and then they may have a couple of clients. And that just works so well.
Yeah.
In Australia, that is just, it's not here yet. And I believe, wow, that's really going to free up so many new options for people.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
And but that still hasn't, now that's been a way of working for that, just in that market. We could talk about lots of different markets, but that's been in that market for years. But we still don't have that here. And I see with the restructuring, redundancies, they're calling it the jobs bloodbath in some
Yeah.
in some media outlets. Yeah, I've known about those for some time, and I haven't wanted to propagate fear and talk about those and the big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But I work with the clients that are saying, well, what do I do with these people now?
Yeah, yeah. So
I've
what do you think the
yeah.
delay is with Australia, I guess embracing that whole fractional idea? Have you noticed like what the reluctance is?
It's a really good point. I think, look, we like to put our head in the sand. I think,
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
and think everything is going to be that sort of and think everything's going to be okay, and
Yeah.
we can still keep doing the same things that we have done. But as we know, that Einstein quote, if we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to get the same result. And I think the time is now where we're seeing we will be pushed that we have to do work and these structures differently. And the economic environment at the moment is making that the case.
Mm,
And I
hmm.
believe now we will have to, because we're having large numbers of executives and senior managers being made redundant through no fault of their own. They may be super high performers, that sort of stuff, but we're getting thousands being made redundant. And that is just economic wise before we probably get some of the AI full impacts coming
Yeah.
through. So
Yeah.
we're going to have this executive and senior manager layer
Yep.
that are going to need to work and to, provide for their families and friends and their lifestyle. So I
Mm.
believe now it's going to be pushing towards that fractional work, or
Yeah.
yeah, portfolio work. There's only so many people that can go to a board role.
Yeah.
There's only so many board roles for
Yeah.
senior people to go to.
Yeah.
So I know that's a common path now, is okay, well, look, redundancy, and then I go to do board work. But there's only, I mean, I've looked at the numbers of positions that there are in Australia. There's only thousands, and yet we're having, say, 4,000 just in one organisation of senior leaders being made redundant. So we can't, it's not going to meet demand. So we're going to need to do this differently. So I think we're going to have to do it now. 2026 is the year.
Is the yeah, I think it is as well, and I think you've touched on a few of the things like that old world leadership no longer working, and I also think there's probably the other contributing factor where it's no longer tolerated. So I think we're seeing a shift in generations in workforces, and people are going, yeah, no, thank you, very much. So not only is it outdated and no longer working, but people are just like, no, I'm not interested in that at all, and are voting with their feet by leaving or finding different ways of work. And then when you mentioned about that kind of that structure, the pyramid structure, we've seen sort of the flattening of what we'd call like an org chart, for example, and those reporting lines really embraced in sort of the tech industries, and I think that is starting to be filtered more and more throughout sort of mainstream industries because, as you mentioned, it's not effective, and leaders are not being supported by their people. Something that I'm certainly noticing is a huge capability gap. So there's a bit of the leaders going, oh well, I'll just do it. Okay, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. I'll just do it. And whether that's a hangover from the C word of leaders being very protective of their people and wanting to look after the well-being, or whether it's a matter of just, us not being able to effectively delegate or even uplift the capability within the organizations. But the idea of the new way of working being in this fractional portfolio way, I think that's really interesting. And for our listeners, whether they're in a position where they've been made redundant or whether they're going, oh, I might get ahead of the curve, the early adapters, what are some of the skills that they need to be thinking about, or maybe even the mindset to go from I've been a traditional employee and now I'm thinking perhaps a fractional engagement might be what is next for me. What would you say are sort of the top things they need to be considering, as well as the mindset shift for them to be working their way through in readiness for 2026?
Yeah, amazing. Fantastic. Okay, firstly, it is the mindset. And look, some may, if we truly future fit, it gives you options, it frees you up. So it may be, okay, great, I'm going to love my current role and it's going to evolve and it's going to change into something that I'm even loving even more. So I think I'm really happy to answer the question around the fractional work and, hey, maybe giving that option, but I probably don't want to lose the fact that it may be evolving in their current role.
Yeah.
So true future fitness
Mm,
is really around unlocking ourselves a little bit from the role
Yes.
and actually looking at the skills.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just share the top line. There's a lot to it, but the future fit key principles, the F, future smart. So being future smart, what is their vision for themselves?
Yeah.
I think 5 to 10 years out, a lot of people go, oh my goodness, you can't even think next week. And I get it. But there's a method, you could do it. And so being future smart there, what are you investing in? Are you investing in, in that landscape for the vision that you have for your future? What should you be investing in? What are those top things?
Mm-hmm.
I'd suggest it's probably relationships. What are the key relationships that you really, really, and it might be leaders in your organization, it may be networks that you're part of. What really gives you fuel, and also what sort of skills that you would need to be investing in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think we have in our careers got a bit lazy, may I say, where we've expected the organisation to do the leadership and the training and stuff like that. And I think
Yeah.
fantastic, really good organisations do that. But I think some of those programs, dare I say it, are pretty old world leadership.
Yeah.
I'm not, I think that all leadership, it's super helpful. However, I think some of it is not keeping pace.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much, okay, well, what do you want to invest in for your future?
Yeah.
And also then it's energy. So it's your
Mm.
time. What do you want to be spending your time on? These executives and leaders are just absolutely overloaded and overwhelmed. So it's getting that real look at what you want to be spending your energy and time on. So time, skills, and energy and money. Okay, so if you've got some money to invest in terms of your development and your skills for the future, where are you going to do that? And where's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck on there? I don't believe we can wait for the organisations here. T is truly transformative. So I'm seeing a lot where it's tinkering. We'll have the next restructure every 6 months, and we're
Yeah.
getting exhausted with that. And leaders are having to lead through that and keep, teams engaged through that. And it's just absolutely exhausting. So, really, what the Future Fit framework is doing, what would truly transform your team, your environment, it's so exciting. Particularly now with technology, we can unlock so many amazing opportunities
Yeah.
and so many possibilities. So that's really freeing and just so exciting, and just lifts you and your team up to new levels. And forget about just the shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're over that. We are absolutely over that.
Yeah.
And 26, no more. Let's truly transform
Yeah.
what we're doing, so we're not just having to do that. It's tinkering and it's not
Yeah.
working. And the last T is trusted. So what we're seeing is that trust is the new, and confidence is the new currency in leaders and in organizations. We could go on and we could just talk about that one there. But trust is going to be even more critical in this AI new world of work, where we're absolutely going to need that. And we're going to need that connection with leaders and teams and organizations. And so, first, to answer your question, it really would be even just getting some maximum value, just even out of the future fit mindset.
Yeah.
That would set you up 26 and beyond.
Yeah.
Now, the mindset will get you almost all the way. Then there's some tools and some, I'm happy to share, some of them with your audience. They can just help you lift out, and so that you are just not alone at the top, and that you can share the load and lift you and your other leaders around you. And that's the exciting bit.
Yeah, I love that model, and I think probably the standout for me is going for those people that actually are going, oh yeah, I do need to make some changes here, or perhaps I need to start preparing. It's just that acknowledgement of going, I can't coast anymore. I do need to be a little bit more assertive or a little bit more directional with how I want my career and the next steps to go. And you mentioned your the first one, the F, which was future smart, that 5 to 10 years. And often people really struggle to go, oh God, that's too far away. What's going to change? And there's plenty that's going to change, but there will also be plenty of things that will remain the same. Of going, so how do we want that to look like? If this is some of our certainty in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years, what are some of the things that are exciting that we could embrace as opposed to being fearful of it? And I think the I, where you were talking about the investing, certainly a lot of my private clients, the ones that invest in themselves are the ones that are like ultra high performing, that are going, how do I get that leadership edge?
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are investing in themselves. They're not waiting for organizations to potentially pull together a development program, because it gets kicked down the road, down the line again and again. Next year's budget, next year's budget. But what I notice is the ones that are well and truly invested in themselves and their career and how do they excel are the ones that are going, yeah, if it's going to be, it's up to me, and that's really exciting. And I wanted to just if you could expand on your last T, which is around trust. And I think we are living in a world of AI. As you know, I've got a number of tiny people in my house, and even now, if they see anything online, their first question is it fake? Not is it real? They're like, is that a fake? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I assume it's real. But there is definitely, and they're Gen Alpha, so they'll be in the workforce in the next 5 to 10 years. But there is definitely a presupposition of going, well, I don't know if I trust it. Is it real? Is it a hoax? Is it edited? Is it AI? Is it a deep fake? And when we're thinking about the relationships that leaders have, of them going, well, is this just the highlight reel that I'm getting from this leader? Or how do I truly trust my peers? How do I truly trust my leader? And then how does that, the trust and the confidence, how do you see those two interacting with each other?
Yeah, what a great one. I totally agree. I think it's going to become even more, that trust is the new currency. Yeah, it's just going to absolutely be immeasurable, the amount of impact that trust is going to be. If you have high trust, you're going to be able to get through so much. We know speed and trust go together. High trust, high speed, because we've got this next 10 years where
Mm,
they're saying that the amount of change in the next 10 years is going to be more than the last 100.
yeah.
Let
Right.
that sink in. I mean, that is just amazing. So I really do believe that, because the pace, we've got 1,300 new apps hitting Apple every day.
Really? That's a lot,
That's
isn't it?
an example of
Yeah.
the amount. So how can we cut through that overwhelm to what really matters? We're going to go to who we trust.
Yeah.
And so those leaders and those relationships, I think, are going to be the ones that are forward thinking, that are investing, that have got these skills and are developing them, are just going to become even more valuable. So that's definitely what I'm seeing, that trust. Now, how does it go with confidence? So confidence, I talk about the confidence code and cracking the confidence code. And what we can see in leaders is that it is in all levels that we have this confidence crisis.
Mm.
So it's with CEOs, it's with senior executives, it's with senior leaders, and it's right through to individual contributors, where even the stats are sort of saying it is. I think I have them here, where CEOs, 58% of CEOs and senior execs say that their skills are not keeping up with the demands of the workplace.
Yes.
58%. Now, people are looking to CEOs and they're looking to their senior execs thinking they've got all the answers, okay, generally, or can you give me the answer, or I'm waiting for the answer, or, you know, And then, but almost 60% of them are saying, I can't keep up with this, with that current pace. Now,
Yeah.
so that's 25. That's now.
Yeah.
So we're releasing this in 26. So the pace is going to be even higher. So you can see that confidence is impacting everyone.
Mm.
So what's pulling on our confidence? Well, it's because it's so uncertain.
Mm.
None of us have all the answers. This is new for everybody.
Mm.
We're in really interesting times, changing times with rapid acceleration, technological change, everything. We know the drill. So it's really pulling on our confidence because we haven't been here before. It is unknown. So what we can do with the confidence code is what is, and I can definitely share with your listeners more, but the first one is getting that clarity and that real clarity for the future.
Mm.
Again, yes, people say, how can you do that? We can do that. So getting that clarity is the first C. And then the second one is connection,
Mm.
really connecting with your people. And we've seen that through many years now, just that importance of connection.
Yeah.
And 47% of people are saying that connection is the most important part of their job.
Yeah.
That is, so it's not,
Mhm.
it's something that we can do, good leaders do. And so that's a skill that's going to become even more valuable. So mark that one down for the future. That's one that you can absolutely do, that is not going away. um, and the next one is commitment. And it's commitment to, once you've got that clarity of vision, is that commitment to what are the future skills. Now,
Mm.
are needing to absolutely go away from the job titles and past experience, because that was the past. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, we don't need that anymore. It's so tough to hear, I know, but it's not really, that critical now. And so what's going to be most valuable are really, what are those future skills that you can be, and so you can be committing to that for yourself and for your team. And guess what? That lifts the clarity, builds confidence. I've
Yeah.
never seen a leader
Yeah.
or a team, if they haven't got clarity, they are absolutely not confident. So that's the first pillar there. And I
Mm.
know the future's uncertain, but we can see a lot actually, in terms of a lot of these trends have been fairly consistent, and we can. So those future skills, I would say they are tech and they are the human skills. We
Yeah.
can't, I integrate the programs where people are sort of saying, Kelly, come to help me with all this AI and all of that. Fantastic. But we do
Mm.
need the human aspect, and I don't do a program on the tech, the AI side, or automation side, that sort of stuff, without these human skills. My philosophy is it's human led,
Mhm.
okay, and then AI or tech supported. And when we do that combination, that's when we unlock real transformation, rather than the 70% of transformations that fail. So that combination is where we're going.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree with you. We can violently agree about that together. The human part is so critical, alongside the tech. So human first and then tech slash AI. I just wanted to touch on something around that clarity builds confidence, because it absolutely does. And
Mm.
when we're talking about the time frame, so the clarity on that 5 to 10 years, what I find is people often procrastinate on that because they're like, oh, what about if we get it wrong? Now, my thinking behind this is, if we shoot for the moon, we'll land amongst the stars. If we're going for 10 years and, at the 5 year mark, we're going, oh, geez, there's so much more that has happened. We might need to change that. That, from my perspective, is a better solution than waiting 5 years to come up with a perfect 10-year plan. Can you talk a little bit to that? I'm leading you here, but I'm assuming you would agree agree with this thinking. But how do we help leaders go, oh, I'm stuck. I can't, like, what about if I get it wrong? I, I
Mm.
think you're probably going to get it wrong. like if everyone got it right, then we wouldn't be in this situation. What's your thinking behind that?
Matt, it's an awesome one, and I totally relate to that. Okay, so I go progress over perfection.
Yeah.
So let's look at the 5 to 10 years. We can see some core themes. We can see some visionary, get some, outside in thinking. And to unlock it, I do options. It just frees people up more. Of course, we're not going to get it 100% right, but my goodness, I don't know how many times I've done it, and we get 80%.
Yeah.
80%, we've already lifted and grown this business, and we've been able to flex and flow. And this program, or this future fitness, is about constantly evolving.
Yeah.
It's not setting a 5 to 10 year and forgetting about it. This is our evolving direction,
Yeah.
and it allows us to flex, adapt.
Yeah.
But really, to be honest, I think it's 80%.
Yeah.
That's 80% accurate.
That's a pass.
Let's take that.
Yeah, take it. I
Yeah.
like it. Amazing. Oh my gosh, Kelly, I have loved chatting with you, and I'm sure there's so many of our listeners that are going, oh, hang on, I need a little bit more of what you are talking about. Where do you hang out?
Right. I love LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn, been active on there. And so please look, just love to connect on LinkedIn. So that's mainly where I am. The visual stuff, look, Instagram, I'm there. So definitely connect on there too, if you like. I'm on Facebook, but really I'm not. It's a business Facebook, and
Yeah.
I'm mainly on LinkedIn, to be honest. But yeah, so would love to connect with your leaders, and I'm on a mission. Sort of helped 1,000 leaders over. Sort of set a goal all the time, and it was initially 100 and
Yeah.
organizations, and then I was like 1,000. Oh my gosh, how could I do that? Now it's going. What about 1,000,000?
Yes, I love it.
Now let's go. So just however I can help people like your listeners, and to improve their future fitness, and future proofing, that's what gives me joy anyway, that's for certain.
I
So
love it. That's amazing. And we actually haven't talked about this, but my goal is a million liters as well.
oh,
We could start like a little visual, how they do the thermometer.
we should
We could do that. We'll do that. That'll be fun.
set them up, we can
What
buy it anyway. Great.
nothing like accountability. What are your top five tips, that you want to share with the listeners, or something that you wish you knew about when you were a baby leader, or perhaps some wisdom that you would like to share with the audience as well?
Amazing. Five, how do you whittle it down? I
I
love.
know.
So good. The first one would be, look, I wish I had said this to myself, but it's definitely relevant now, is wake up. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
wake up. The world has changed.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, sorry.
You need that
That's
on a t-shirt.
a tough one. Yeah. Um, how we had the wake up before you go.
Oh,
Hey, we could do that. Anyway, but restructures, redundancies, these things, they aren't just rumors. I'd hate to be the bearer of this. I'm saying it because I want people to stop waiting and
yeah.
actually get future fit. Just make one action. So I think that's definitely, even if it's one strategic action
Mm, hmm.
every year, that adds up.
Yeah.
I wish I had done that earlier, but now I do that. The second tip, sharing the load.
Hmm.
Leadership isn't a solo sport.
Yeah.
And I think it's so easy to get trapped in that. And I hear what you were talking about with your leaders. It's like, oh, my team are doing it so tough. I don't want to get them overwhelmed. And we end up doing so much more as leaders. I've been there. I can imagine you have been. Every listener would have been there.
Mm.
We really do need to get our support crew around us.
Yep.
I know you do, Ali, and I know I do. We've got coaches. We go to experts. I don't do what I do alone.
Yeah.
lift and am supported by brilliant people and community. And I think leaders in corporates are really, I don't think we do that well. I
Not
really don't
yet.
think we do that well. I think you might go to a leadership program and get a buddy there or something like that, but it's not. And I'm trying to build that leadership cohorts across organizations so they can support each other. But I think share the load, definitely. Number 3, choosing courage over comfort. So it is comfortable to even be on the treadmill. Now, that is very, very controversial, I know. And people can be saying, look, Kellie, but this firefighting and busyness keeps us on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And it is, whilst it's causing issues on, our families and our in lives and our health and our well-being and even in our teams and organizations, this cycle is comfortable. Now, I know that's really, really challenging, but growth and comfort don't go together. And it's time, 26, to actually grow. And the thing is, it just needs one step. It just needs making a decision today to go, actually, I'm going to get off this treadmill for 26. This firefighting, this frantic nature, which I do keynotes and workshops, it comes up every time. People are in frantic mode, not in future fit mode. So, yeah, choose an action to get future fit or grow, whichever one that they relate to. Number 4, confidence is a muscle, not a moment. And
that's good.
I love that one because I can look back and think, oh, I felt really confident doing, that keynote, or I really loved, it's generally when you're in your zone and you're in joy, or when I was with those leaders and this leader achieved that, I'm just made me so confident. But you can't use up all of your confidence. It's muscle. It keeps getting stronger. And I just think in these times, we can just be even more confident than ever. And I love, love, love to see that for people, because I think us as leaders, we generally have to be the confident one. And when you actually in a coaching mode or something like this, we realize that, we can crack pretty easily. And I relate. Okay. So I'm not saying this from, so I think confidence is that muscle. Let's get fit on that. And the last one would be, leading with clarity and energy. I look back on my career and I go, when was I really clear and when was my energy up and positive and just so. And that's just such a huge marker for me. I can pick up those times. We were just achieving out of sight. The team was incredible. We all still, connect. It was just such a great time. And I think going forward, that's going to be my marker. Where is my energy strong and positive? Where do I feel really, confident? And where times when if you look back on your career and think, wow, my confidence was zapped. It was so low. My energy was zapped. I just was exhausted. It is telling us something. It's telling us that the fit isn't right. And I just think, listen to that, and I would have acted sooner. Resilience, I think we've overdone resilience. I think particularly a lot of your listeners, I can only imagine how resilient they are and have had to be. I don't believe that's the new way, is that we just have to keep being more resilient. I really believe that we'll be moving this burnout and this sort of stuff, it's giving us a signal. We really want to be energized, positive, and really sort of leaving that burnout, resilience, exhaustion behind. So those are
your top
top
5.
tips.
I love it. I think it's so important. And even that last one around energy, the more clarity I have, the more energized I am. And of course, whenever I spend some time actually getting clear, so setting some strategic planning time or just even ideating, my team know because they're like, oh, here she comes, because I'm so energized by what's next, and I think it's such an important thing and such an important choice that we have. So it is very much a choice. Kellie Tomney, you are an absolute superstar. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'll pop all of your links in the show notes for people to be able to connect with you and reach out with you. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your wisdom today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Ellie. We could go on for ages. I know that it's just been such a pleasure. Thank you. And I'm really, really happy to give a copy of my book
Oh,
for
that's
anybody.
so
Yeah, for
generous.
anybody
Thank you.
who it relates to. If anyone's thinking, okay, some of this is, they want to make a little step or a big step or that sort of thing. But yeah, if they wanted to connect on, say, LinkedIn and just put Future Fit in there, I
Oh,
could a
beautiful.
copy. Yeah, get a free
That's
copy.
so generous. So, Kelly's saying if you would like a copy of her book, which is incredible, I actually read it when we drove across the country from Adelaide to Queensland. You can connect with her on LinkedIn and just put a little comment in there that says Future Fit, and you will organize the rest.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is so incredibly generous. Thank you, Kelly. What a great way for people to start their 2026.
I think it's a great way to start. Absolutely.
Amazing. All right. Thank you. Bye for now.
Super. Thanks, Ellie.